Do players know what each other are getting in terms of a pay packet and thinking, there must be the agent's works doing that, and I want to be on that same bracket, in that same bracket?
It's very much what it's like nowadays, I believe. They have an idea what other people are on. Some will know exactly what each other are on because they'll share that information privately between each other. But it's not ideal for players to be discussing these things in a footballing environment because it leads to things, like jealousy, greed, things like that. And this is the agent's world. They swim in all of this and they work it all out and try, you'd like to think, to get players or their players the best possible deal. So like as I said before, I can understand why agents are there and why they're needed. They have contacts, don't they? They can get you opportunities possibly which you never would have gotten without them. So there is a need for certain players to have them. Me personally, on a personal level, I managed just fine towards the end of my career, I believe, without one, because the only real thing for me to sort out was getting a contract, and I ended up having the conversation about my contract with my soon-to-be manager, Sven and Eriksson, and it was similar to this. Around the table, I had a little chat. The discussion about money was the last part of the conversation, not the first. He was telling me about what position he wants me to play in and things like that. And I'm very happy for that experience, to be able to have signed for a football club without the back and forth and toing and throwing and might happen and might not happen. That's associated with having an agent around.
Let me proposition this to you. Now, we had a long discussion yesterday. It was a great interview. But towards the end, you were saying the reason it took you 3 years to officially announce your retirement, and at that point you were 35. So when you got your bad injury, you were about 31, turning 32. Yeah. It took you a year and a half, let's say, to fully recover, to get back to match fitness, but then another year and a half before you said, all right, I'm going to call it a day. Yeah. Would it have helped if you had an active agent searching for clubs for you?
Possibly. If I had an agent that I'd been with for a long period of time, who knew me, knew my situation, knew exactly what was needed. What I did have, though, was telephone calls every day from different agents, from different agencies.
Oh, you did?
Promising me this, promising me that. And I did check out a few of these opportunities that they were saying, but they never materialised into anything, and it was all based around what they were going to earn first. And that seemed to be a pattern that, it didn't sit right with me, to be honest. It was my career that they were discussing and they were trying to earn money from. And first and foremost, I just wanted to play football and do what I do best, and I felt more comfortable not having to deal with agents than to deal with them. I also had the PFA in the background, who aren't an agent as such, but they provide similar services, and they had me on the transfer list, the PFA transfer list, and was looking for opportunities or sending opportunities my way, but again, they didn't materialise. And the fact of the matter is it didn't matter who was there. You can't convince a club to sign somebody who's not fit enough to play. It doesn't matter, it's just not going to work.
Of course.
Yeah. I think there was definitely a need for agents, because players used to get steamrolled by clubs. And it happened to me. I told you, at Brighton, my first contract, they told me what they were going to pay me and how long the contract was going to be for. I didn't have a choice. There was no negotiation whatsoever. That was it. And I know I was a 17-year-old kid and very grateful at the time. But, the club had the power. It's now gone far too far the other way, and the player and stroke agent now has all the power.
Do you think there's too much power involved?
Yeah, personally, yes. Now, some people would say, well, you sound like an old footballer. Well, arguably I am, but I think that, yes, the agent today dictates far too much.
Because they're very vocal. I mean, Mino Raiola especially. He's on Twitter, and every time he tweets something, and it's in relevance to, say, Paul Pogba, Erling Haaland, it becomes global news. That's how vocal the agent has become. He's not behind the scenes orchestrating deals and manoeuvring this person and that person. He's become a spokesperson himself.
Yeah, it's the environment that we're in now. It's an avenue for an agent to get their voice out there. I think it's really competitive for agents now as well. I think with the rule changes that have come into play, I think you can have you can have somebody represent you who doesn't have a license to be an agent now. I believe so don't quote me on that. So that means that agents now have to battle with, a lot of different people for that work, and it doesn't surprise me to see them out there, trying to be heard or trying to get their voice out there.
Yeah, you brought up the licenses, etc. I've read an article recently, and it clarified the difference, say, between American agents and American sports. So you have to have proper coaching license, a degree in accounting, I can't remember, or something. So it's a lot more thorough. There's a lot more checks and balances involved. Whereas technically, if I wanted to become an agent, I could probably do it pretty soon.
I think the key
so,
to
yeah.
it all, the key to it all is the age in our players. It's how quickly or how soon can you get a player on board with potential to be quality, so they can stay with you and your company for the whole career, and this agent can earn this deal and that deal and that deal. I think that's what they're trying to do now. What players have now is the option or the opportunity to have members of their family represent them. And from a player's perspective, if you've got your parent or your uncle or somebody who's got some sort of know-how or who just wants your best interest in representing you, it might be more comfortable for the player to have somebody that they know and they trust from that perspective.
When I first retired as a player, there was a London-based football agency who approached me and said, we want to grow our stable of players, and we would like you as an ex-player to be part of our organisation to entice players to us. And I said, I'm not sure it's what I want to do, but okay, I'll come in 1 or 2 days a week for a couple of months and see how it works. And within about 6 weeks, I shook them by the hand and said, don't want to be involved. Really don't want to be involved based on what I've seen, what I've heard, how you operate, the way you're going to drive your business. And it was on one occasion when, having sort of put together a list of targets that the agency wanted to sign up,
Yes.
as it were, I was told that the way to get them on board was to tell them whatever they wanted to hear. So tell them we'll take them to Manchester United, tell them we'll get a contract for them at Liverpool, as long as they sign for us. We'll worry about the next bit thereafter. That's not the way to do business. It's dishonest, isn't it?
Yeah.
That really turns my stomach, because players, they want to play football predominantly, and they have people around them, and they are trusting at the start. They do want somebody, or to feel like somebody's looking out for their best interests. And what you've just said there, that's happened to me before. I've had agents promise me this and promise me that. And when you're young and naive and you don't have somebody close to you to determine what's real and what's fake, you can go along with things, and you can find yourself, signed up on a contract with an agent who probably not right for you in the long run. That's happened to me when I was a young player at the age of 18. I signed with a company. When I realised that they weren't the right company for me and tried to get out of that deal, they made it very difficult for me, and there was a non-stop effort from this company to earn money whilst I tried to leave them. I'll never forget that experience, and again, it's probably led up to one of the reasons why I don't have a great, admiration for agents. But I do say now that I'm more experienced, there are some good agents out there, and I'm sure that some agents doing a lot of good work out there as well.